Hi everybody, happy Monday. It is Courtney and it is 7:30 Central Time and time to go live. So every Monday at 7:30 CS or Central Time, I go live talking about something that I've heard from group members or in the community at large, the intuitive eating community. Maybe I've heard other intuitive eating providers say something, a lot through the past couple weeks, or I've read something that's interesting, something that I want to touch base on and provide accurate info about is what I go live on every week. So if you are ever interested in me discussing something in particular, let me know, send me a message, post in the group. I'm always happy to get suggestions from group members. And so, like I said, I'm Courtney. I am a registered dietitian and I run this Facebook group. And I specialize in intuitive eating and helping people become intuitive eaters through one-to-one coaching. So if that also is ever something that you are interested in, let me know. I would love to chat with you and see if we could work together to get you to your intuitive eating goals. So like I said, I'm Courtney and every Monday I go live. If you are watching live right now, go ahead and comment live. Hello, Daryl Lynn. And yes, I'm a dietitian. Yep, registered dietitian. Yeah. And who else is on live? Go ahead and say hi. And then if you're watching the replay, comment replay. I always love to know who watches the replay as well. So hi. Ghislaine and I just had a session. So hello, nice to see you again. All right, so tonight I am going over how to deal with diet culture triggers because something that I've heard a lot about from group members and some people in general is the idea that people are getting triggered by comments, sometimes in the group, sometimes in just in life in general, by loved ones or coworkers, a spouse, really anyone, because diet culture is so normal that people will say comments, even we say them sometimes, and they come across as diet culture-y and maybe triggering to someone who's trying to get out of that mindset, and we don't even realize. I always say that 99% of society is in diet culture and 1% is in intuitive eating and health at every size. And when you see diet culture, you cannot unsee it because it's so obvious. It's just glaring when we hear things in the media, if we're watching a commercial or we see ads in a magazine, and we see the same stereotypical straight-sized person in the ads, or we say things like, oh, everything in moderation, or we say, oh, I'm so bad I ate this cookie this weekend, or I ate so much this weekend. Those are all rooted in diet culture and the idea that we need to be in a smaller body, or we need to watch what we're eating and control what we're eating in order to fit society's idea of what is healthy and acceptable. And so it's really common because we don't even realize how, hurtful these comments can be or how damaging diet culture is until we see it, because it's so normalized that we don't even question it. So one thing that I always like to point out is that if someone's really feeling triggered by diet culture comments and maybe even wanting to go back to diet culture or trying one last diet or whatever it may be, you always have the option to do that. You can always go back and, make a pros and cons list of intuitive eating and health at every size and a non-diet approach, and the pros and cons of dieting. And, I believe what I believe. I will never tell my clients to, diet intentionally for weight loss or to go on any particular diet. But, I can't control people, and everyone has that choice to go back and do what they want to do with dieting if they want to. And so that's always a valid option, is to consider the pros and cons of both approaches. You can also use the opportunity to educate someone. So if that person or those people who are saying those things you know, you think would be open-minded and maybe willing to have a seed planted about intuitive eating or health at every size, that's an option too. Some people have actually given the book Intuitive Eating to loved ones, like they've just left it at their house, and then when that person is ready, they pick it up and they read it, and you know, some people love it, and some people are like, this doesn't really resonate with me. It's okay, you know, you tried. So that's something that some people have tried that I've read about. Sometimes you can just simply give a couple sentence summary of health at every size and intuitive eating. You know, I'm doing this approach where I trust my own body to tell me when, what, and how much to eat. And I am learning to kind of tune into my body and learn its cues again. It's this framework called intuitive eating. Of course, there's a lot more to it, but that's kind of a succinct way to get the point across. And some people are very receptive to those kinds of conversations and are like, oh, you know, tell me more. I want to learn more. And some people just wave it off. And sometimes, you know, it takes a few times of, you know, mentioning those things to that person or those people. And sometimes it never sticks, and that's okay. Because, you know, you can't force it on anyone and they have to want it. And if they're interested, then it'll go the way that you're hoping and they'll be interested in learning more. So it's always something that you can at least attempt. And then something else to remember is that we're all learning. So especially in this group where we're all, you know, interested in intuitive eating, maybe some of us are completely new to it and others have been practicing for a while, you know, you can always like learn something, and it can still be, you can still maybe say something that comes across as diet culture-y. I've done it before. I'll catch myself thinking things and I'm like, no, that is diet culture. Like, so, you know, you can still do it. Even I've been practicing it for a year and a half and I'm still, you know, sometimes slip up a little bit because it just, we're around diet culture all the time, so those thoughts naturally just kind of come in. So just, you know, having grace with ourselves and compassion for ourselves and realizing that we are always going to slip up at some point and say something, and just giving each other grace, like in this group where we're all learning and at some phase on the journey, and just remembering, hey, like this person, you know, 99.9% sure they did not mean to offend me or to trigger me at all by their diet culture comment. People who are also in the very beginning stages of intuitive eating might not even be aware of what diet culture is. So they'll say something and not even realize, you know, what they're saying because it's just not on their radar yet. So just kind of having practice or patience and compassion for those people who say things that might be triggering, just to take a step back and realize that we were once in their shoes and, you know, they're on the path to learning more. And it's totally okay for them to make those comments and just, you know, take the time to educate them or just move forward and realize that they likely didn't mean any harm in their comment. And then another thing is in this group, because I've had some people tell me that there have been triggering comments, is that I'm the only admin. So I do my best to stay alert and to, you know, monitor the comments and dispel any myths or anything like that that comes up or educate people correctly, but I'm one person, so I can miss things. So just knowing that if there's something that's really problematic, you can always let me know. My DMs are always open. And then also I encourage comments that might sound like diet culture, because that means that people are learning and that this is a safe place for them to learn more about intuitive eating. And I want them to have a safe space, because there's so much misinformation out there about intuitive eating, and I always strive to provide accurate, dependable information that's evidence-based and true to what the authors of intuitive eating, you know, meant intuitive eating to be, and not some other version of someone who interprets it completely differently. So yeah, I just try to be a knowledgeable source and to be there for people to ask questions and to feel comfortable doing so. And so, yeah, if you ever have a question, I don't want you to sit there and worry about, you know, triggering someone or sounding like you're too much into diet culture, because that's how you learn and it's going to happen. And I think being in this space like this group, we just all need to expect things like that, that sometimes there will be those triggers. And, you know, I do offer a private practice with one-to-one coaching so that I can really help people unpack those comments and unpack their thoughts around those comments. And if you're feeling triggered, finding a way to really, you know, unravel those thoughts and unravel why it's triggering, and get to the point where you can really kind of break free from those lingering diet culture comments, so that they don't bother you quite so much, and maybe, you know, think of it more as an education opportunity and not something to be triggered by. So that is something that I work with clients through in my program, because, you know, you want to get to the point where you're really eating intuitively and not always feeling triggered or kind of through those more difficult points of intuitive eating that can take a while to get through on your own. So, let's see. Yes, Galena, good or bad foods come up sometimes. Yeah, so like so people can comment sometimes about good or bad foods. Yeah, that's a huge one, because we're always told, it seems like every week there's a new diet, and it's like, oh, you should eat this or you shouldn't eat that, or these foods do this and these foods do that. And, you know, it's like, what do you believe? Like, you know, to the person who's just, you know, listening to just general information, maybe they just do a quick internet search or something like that, it can be really overwhelming, and it can seem like it's, you know, very black and white, like this food is good, this food is bad. From an intuitive eating perspective, we know that's not true. Food doesn't have a moral value. There is no good or bad food. Food is just food, and some foods are going to have more nutrients than others and be more nutrient dense than others, but there's no inherent good or bad food. But yeah, that's a classic example of a comment around diet culture. And yes, healthy is everywhere. People are kind of obsessed with health and like clean eating and natural, like those are big buzzwords. And so yeah, those are examples of diet culture too. There's not even an official definition for natural or clean eating, but people use it because it's like a buzzword, and people, you know, kind of listen in when they are, you know, paying attention to those words. So it's a lot of it's marketing, and people buy things that are natural or clean, and that's what people want, is to sell things. So they use those words a lot in our society. Yeah. So yeah, I think my biggest recommendations are, again, just to recap, to reflect on the pros and cons of dieting and intuitive eating, and kind of discovering what's best for you, using the opportunity to educate or plant seeds around intuitive eating and or health at every size, realizing that everyone will make mistakes. We're all learning, and it's okay to maybe put a lingering or put a triggering thought or comment out into the world, because it means that you're learning and asking questions, especially in a group like this one, like mine. And, you know, it shows that you're comfortable asking questions and learning more about intuitive eating. So I wouldn't shy away from those questions or comments. And then also realizing that I do offer one-to-one coaching through this. So if you're really, you know, struggling with intuitive eating, you have a lot of questions, you could use guidance on getting through the process, then I would, you know, certainly love to chat with you. You can go ahead and send me a DM, or if you want to, you can post in the group or comment on this video, whatever. I'd love to have a chat with you, and we can just kind of see where you're at and how I could help you with a resource of mine. So definitely let me know if that's something that you're interested in. I always love connecting with people from the group. So I hope this was helpful, and I don't see any other questions or comments. So again, you know, my DMs are always open. You can go ahead and message me if you have any questions about anything. You can message me or you can comment in the group. You can comment on the video, whatever works for you. I'm open to questions and suggestions. And if there's ever a live that you want me to discuss something that you have a question about, go ahead and let me know. I'm always open to member suggestions. And I hope that this was helpful, and I can't wait to chat with you soon. Have a good night. Bye.